Hello, everyone, and welcome to another event of IIPC International. We're having this debate today to talk about the integration of the non-Portuguese speaker in Conscientiology. My name is João Nascimento. I am a teacher of Conscientiology, and I have been a volunteer of Conscientiology since 2014. And today we are here to talk about this topic, the integration of the non-Portuguese speaker in Conscientiology with Jaclyn Cowen. Jaclyn is from Sydney, Australia. She's an international volunteer and a researcher of Conscientiology. She has a degree in urban planning and a master's degree in urban design. And Jaclyn found out about Conscientiology in Sydney, Australia, where she's from. She became a volunteer in 2007. 2 years later, and in 2009, she started teaching Conscientiology. And then in 2014, she made an important decision to move to Foz do Iguaçu. We're going to talk about that. And where she has been living since, 2014, right? She has been a penta practitioner since 2016 and is currently a co-coordinator of a Pre-CI Conscientiology institution, ISIC, and a volunteer of Consecutivus. So, Jaclyn Cowen, welcome to this debate. It's going to be a pleasure to interview you, and I'm sure people have so much to learn from your experience. Welcome.
Thank you, João. You're very happy to be here and talking about this topic with you guys. It's very nice. Thank you.
Very good, Jaclyn. Well, to kick off, I think we can start thinking about, before you accessed Conscientiology, there must be some history behind this, isn't there? That sort of path your way through to reach Conscientiology. Yeah, I don't know if it involves parapsychism or paraperception. How is it? What can you tell us about this?
So, it's interesting because I found out about Conscientiology 7 years before I arrived in Cognopolis in Foz do Iguaçu. So and this was in Sydney, Australia, right? They had a unit of Conscientiology there, a unit of IAC. And however, my experience of finding Conscientiology was really about 6 months before I found, like mid-2006. I started to become a little bit more open to the possibility that there existed more to life than, what was around me. And before then, I was very much immersed into the culture in terms of this materialistic, conventional paradigm, which Australia has very strongly in its Holothoscene. So it's kind of, you don't really hear about these things of multidimensionality and any paraphenomena or these things. You don't really hear it. People don't talk about it. And it was kind of absent from my life. So I grew up, not really thinking about any of these things at all. And, really conditioned by the culture. But then at some point I started, when I was about 25, I started to think, no, there's something more. I started to question things. And so I started to go on this search. And about 6 months later, actually my youngest sister, she came back from a trip from India. And she'd stayed at an ashram there. And while she was there, a guy had given her a book on astral travel. And so she came back to Australia. My whole family was sitting at a restaurant, a Thai restaurant, to give a context. Yeah. And she started talking about this phenomena of astral projection. The out-of-body experience. And for me, this was the first time I'd ever heard about this in my life. I was kind of in shock because I was open at that point. And it just made complete sense. I wanted to know everything about it. And I was kind of surprised. I was like, why hadn't anyone told me this before? And she gave me the book and I devoured it. I read it, from cover to cover in a very short period of time. And about 2 weeks later, she actually found this course, the basic, course of Conscientiology, the 40-hour course in Sydney. And she asked me if I wanted to go, and I said, sure, and then we both turned up. And about halfway through the course, she said she had an experience that she didn't like, she interpreted it in a different way because she's a bit more mystical. And she said, I'm out of here. Don't want anything, don't want to continue. And I continued, and that was it. So I can really thank my sister. I have a lot of gratitude for my sister because she helped me, of course. There was the helpers behind her and all that to bring me to Conscientiology in Sydney. But it was a small group. There was 3 of us there for a long time, for a couple of years, and then 2 of us. There's, we had a group of people who were kind of associated, like they used to do the courses, but they weren't involved in the same way. So in terms of like really full-time volunteers, we were a small group. And I was used to that aspect of Conscientiology, the way that, we did things in Australia, which is different to what I later understood. The ideas, no, but in terms of, many different aspects in terms of the way we taught the ideas in the classes, the people that we interacted with, the students that turned up, the culture, all these aspects. So, it's...
That's very interesting, because that's something that people, and of course, coming from different places, or being in different countries, they will experience as well a different dynamic of what volunteers of Conscientiology abroad can do, and this is very interesting, because coming to Brazil, it was more like an immersion. Like, is that what you mean? Like now it's full time kind of thing?
Well, no, I think I right from the beginning, I kind of, dived in, and it was my whole life, I dedicated myself completely to it. I think it was more about the needs, how to attend the needs of, for example, the students. Our whole, it was all about, I guess it was similar to IIPC in a small city, or like, a city that doesn't have a strong presence of Conscientiology there. And people are coming for the first time, and, how to meet those needs. It was really about, accessing the Australian public and new intermissivists that were arriving.
Very good. Yeah, all right. And what was the moment? Was there like a key moment that you realized, like, okay, I need to be in Brazil, I need to make a move, because it is an amazing move, isn't it? I mean, it's just leaving your country, your hometown and all that. The close ones, your family and all, and come to a completely different country where, the culture may be so diverse to what, you grew up with. How was that?
It.
Yeah, can you identify that key moment that triggered?
Yeah, I wish I could say it was all planned, and it was planned in 5 years in advance, and and I was going that direction, but didn't actually happen that way. But how could I say? It was more. I'd actually planned to actually travel to another country, to the United States, and to help with Conscientiology there. It was interesting because it was a moment in my life where all of a sudden I had this strong urge to leave Australia to go somewhere else. It was, and there was an opportunity to go to the United States, right? And it's funny because it's, nothing by chance. It's we tend to repeat things we've done in past lives in the past, and I know that now. But it was the same age, that I'd done that in the past. So yeah, it's just something inside of me. I needed to expand. I needed to, and now I understand it more deeply. My proexis, the international, it's international. And I could only really go into that more deeply if I moved to another country and got to experience firsthand how it is to live in another country and, see things from the other perspective. And of course, we take things from, our past lives. If we have that international Holocaust thing, we probably traveled in past lives. But for me in this life, it was important. I understand that. And it helped me. It helped me a lot. It was like I was going to the next phase of my proexis.
Right.
So, yeah, in that case, but the thing is, so I decided to travel to the United States. I packed up everything. It was like all organized back home, and it didn't work out. And so one of the volunteers in Australia, and a very good friend, she suggested that I go to Brazil, to Foz do Iguaçu, to think about things and think what I want to do with the rest of my life, or the next phase of my life. So, and that was in 2014. So I traveled to Foz, and while I was there, I did a complementarian, and one of the guys who had just recently moved to Foz from London, he said, why don't you just move here? Because I never thought about actually moving to Brazil, to Foz. I'd actually, in 2009, I traveled to Foz for 6 months, and I stayed in Foz. So I had I had been here in Foz, for a period of time, and I understood, even though I didn't really speak the language or anything, but I understood, to a certain extent how the culture was. But moving is a completely different story. It's,
Yeah. But 6 months is a fair amount of time, isn't it? To have to have an immersion, isn't it? You go and really go deep into it, and the good thing, there's always someone around who speaks the language, and is actually able to sort of adopt you and show you around, isn't it, and help you out. So
I think I got a lot of support. When I was here for the 6 months, like people were translating for me all the time. It's like, and it was really good, but I didn't really experience how it would be to be on my own 2 feet, navigating, how to get on without that support. People did support me when I came to live here, but it wasn't to the same extent. So I think I got a lot of, like a kind of red carpet the first time I came here.
It's true. All right. Very good. Well, there is a question that came up from YouTube. Yeah, George Rebello. He's asking, "Hello, Jaclyn. Nice to meet you. Do you have any seriexological research related to a past life in Brazil?" And I think that question was also triggered because you said there was that point where you were like ready to expand and move out of your country, your home, your home country. So what can you tell us about this?
I did have an experience when I first came to live in Brazil that I may have had a past life in Sao Paulo. But as I said, it's just one experience. So until I've had more experiences, I can't confirm it. But it's something I could research, perhaps, to dig a little deeper to see, what my connection are to Brazil. But for me, I really felt, how could I say, like my parents are South African. So there's, in the Southern Hemisphere, they came from South Africa. You've got the whole, the African continent, you've got the Australian continent, and now the Brazilian continent. I feel like it's just for me to go to, how could I say, experience new, like even if I hadn't lived in Foz before, it's a new experience, new culture, and for sure, maybe it's not the first time I've been here, but and
so
the people as well.
You didn't have any deja vu feeling when you first came to Brazil? As in,
No. I felt it was
maybe,
very new for me. It was very, it was not a place that I would have actually chosen to come and live had it not been for Conscientiology. But now that I'm here, I feel it does feel familiar. Like it's, and I guess it's a large part because of the people as well. You know, I got to encounter my evolutionary friends, you know, from the intermissive course and expand that evolutionary circle, which I didn't have that opportunity when I was in Australia. So, I think. But in terms of Foz, I love the place. You know, I like it. There's so much nature. It's beautiful. It's, you know, and I like the Brazilian culture. I like the openness of people and the tolerance and things like that.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about past lives. I still need to research a little bit more.
Study a little bit more. You know, something that people also become interested in is like how you actually get the glimpse of what could be a past life. Did that come through a projection, through energetic sensation, or, you know, a whisper in your ear? You know, what was the paraphenomena that actually where you actually cogitated that possibility? Yeah, because for us researchers, it is pretty much like that, isn't it? There is the possibility. I need to study this further until I can actually confirm this. So what was the phenomenal paraphenomena that got you that way?
So it was an out-of-body experience, and it was two people from Conscientiology, people that I know that I have a strong connection with, and they took me out of my body. Like I was flying with them, you know, and they took me to the area of Sao Paulo, and we're talking about this idea of having had a past life, and I remember having some experience related to that, but the details I'm not able to capture. But it was related to that.
To grasp, to be able to hold on to all these details. I know the feeling.
The memory, you know, sometimes can evade us.
Yeah, it's true. But very good. We keep on the search, isn't it? And we keep on moving. Very good.
Yeah.
Well,
but I should mention it's like related, not Brazil, but for example, in terms of the United States, which is part of the same continent, you know, I've had experiences of a past life in the United States. So yeah, it's the American continent at least. So that's I have a little bit more confirmation in terms of
and we see unfinished businesses. Very good. So once in Brazil, you already told us about, you know, having the red carpet the first time, the first 6 months, and then later on coming back and really sort of sinking in, and growing roots. And how was it? Can you tell us a little bit about that, about this moment? I think you said 2014, isn't it?
That's
that
correct.
You came and you started like, I don't know, the challenges of learning the language, or had you started that before? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, how could I say? I did a course before I arrived here to live. I remember, but in Australia, but it's the basics of the basics. You know, in 3 months, you don't really get much, and it's only when you go to live in the country that you can really, you know, take a giant leap forward. You have to. It's either a sink or swim, right? And I felt like that. It was kind of, you know, I kind of put all my energies into learning the language, tried to absorb as much as I could. But it was a challenge. It was a real challenge at the beginning. You have to really, how could I say, maintain a sense of balance in terms of yourself, and in terms of people are not going to understand you. You know, you're going to have to start from the beginning. You feel sometimes like a baby sometimes, you know, starting from zero. I kind of felt like I was taking like this step back. Even in terms of my pro-access, I couldn't do the same things as I was doing before in Sydney. I had to focus on the necessities of life, and energetically, physically, emotionally, I wasn't stable enough just to continue. It took me a couple of years to get back to my former state where I could just, go at the same rhythm that I was going before, because there's a lot of, how could I say, the change in environment even. Like, I had to get work. I had to, I was teaching a lot. This was something new for me in terms of in SOCIN, right? Yeah. And it took a physical toll as well on my health, being, how could I say, the microclimate and the illnesses, all these things. Like it's not easy to make this change. And being in a tropical climate, right? I was very used to the dry kind of environment of Sydney. It's different. And all these things you have to adjust. But also just, in terms of my pro-exes, but specifically the language and the culture, these were one of these obstacles that I had to really understand, to develop, to just, take my time. I can't say that I was always patient and, tranquil about the situation. I wasn't. I had moments of crises, perfectly normal looking back, but maybe doing it a second time round. I don't know if I will. Going to live in another country in a different language, how it would be. But it's kind of a slow adaptation over time. You just got to give yourself time to get used to how things are, because especially coming from the Australian culture to the Brazilian culture, there are some things in common, but it's also very different. And
it's completely understandable, and there is this feeling of concerning the language, at least, of course, among other things, but I think the language especially, because it is the main tool you need to live in a society, and if you can't still manage that, the basics of that is going to be a major obstacle for absolutely anything you have to do, from catching a cab or, taking the bus and going from A to B is absolutely a nightmare.
This was the first step, right? Just doing the basic things. But after that, it was about engaging with people, interacting with people on a deeper level. I want to, I recognize you, you feel really familiar to me, but we don't really speak the same language. And, and there was all these situations where we weren't able to communicate in the same way as you would if it's someone from, the same language. But saying that, on the other hand, I had a lot of support. And this is one of the things that really helped me. People who, welcomed me, supported me, gave me, that helping hand in various moments. And over time, I create my little network of friends, and, that's the social support and the volunteering as well. Like over time, it was the same year that ISIC started when I came to FOS. So, but it's interesting because I was kind of like, there's so much, all of a sudden this world of conscientiology information is open to me. And it's like, I don't want to just, I wanted to experience and explore and find out what is my specialty, and what is my real, the pro-exis in terms of the area, and this was great because in Australia, this wasn't really an option because we already had it all organized, structured, with the courses and meeting those needs of the public there. But here it's, it's a little different. So, so it all takes time. But it's the normal preoccupations, I think, of anyone who moves to Cognopolis.
Absolutely.
But over time, I realized my pro-exis really was related to the international things, and ISIC was a big part of that. And I had some experiences.
And great synchronicity, isn't it, of you coming to Brazil, settling down, and then ISIC as well being born at that point. Very, very cool, very cool. And from this moment of becoming a volunteer with the language difficulties and everything, did you become a volunteer straight away? Because you were already volunteering in Australia, isn't that?
Yes.
And then you came to Brazil. how was that transition of being a volunteer there to being a volunteer in Brazil?
Yeah. So this is the thing, what I was mentioning before, it's like all of a sudden in Australia, it was very organized and structured in terms of I didn't really have to choose. I just jumped into what was already there, what was already set up. But here in Brazil, it's a different structure because the person has to come here and choose, choose their area. Where do they want to go? And so this was for me, I was kind of a little anxious to find that, to find
it's
my
overwhelming,
place.
isn't it? Yeah.
It is. It can be at the beginning. But yeah, you just have to really just take it slow and be patient because you do get, the information will come. I was attending and you kind of have a sense of where you need to go. I think, there's that inner compass, those innate ideas that kind of direct you. If you're paying attention to them, then they will lead you. I mean, I was in one IC, I chose to be, but I had this idea, no, I need to be somewhere else, and I attended a dynamic. It was a Syriaxology dynamics. I was interested in that and the idea of what specialty, what specialty is my specialty and relate to parasociology, right? So, and these kind of tips and things, and it all helps to orient you, to navigate you in the right direction. So, yeah, over time, as I said, a few years later, I was able to find my path. So, yeah, but it is a bit overwhelming at the beginning.
Yeah, it is, and there are so many, as you said, there are the dynamics, the parapsychic dynamics, the courses, the insights we have as we're talking to people, having lunch or informal meetings here and there, and the energy that is surrounding us constantly really help us. And as we become more sensitive to that, more attentive to that, we can see that maybe the path was there the whole time, and we just couldn't see it at first.
Just connect the dots.
Just connect the dots and follow the lines,
exactly,
follow the bricks,
exactly. Exactly, that's it.
Pretty cool. What about parapsychism? Because you mentioned the insight you had at first in Australia when you were like mid-20s, and then so what can you tell us about parapsychism? Because I think people can relate a lot and identify with this, because a lot of people get to conscientiology and they start like opening their minds, or maybe just visualizing new possibilities, and they find the ideas of conscientiology through parapsychism. So what can you tell us about either the beginning of it and then some of the development, or maybe, I don't know, dynamics courses that may have helped you in that development?
Yeah. So like as I said at the beginning, I think I wasn't really paying attention before I came to Conscientiology, the 6 months before, and then that 6 months started opening up. But it was just really energetic perceptions, and it's interesting because how closed was my mind in terms of not perceiving things. The difference between one day and another, coming to Conscientiology, and then all of a sudden having out of body experiences and not looking back from that point forward. And this is the thing, because it's been a process of, because it's a process of the dynamics helped. I think I was involved in a few dynamics relation to orthothosanity and the Syriaxology, and those dynamics helped. And then I started penta in 2016. I think this is also a turning point for me as well, especially through the pandemic, right? All the dynamics stopped, and yet the one constant was the penta. I think each individual continuing to develop their parapsychism, and I'm been trying to put like a lot of effort into developing my parapsychism as well through that, to be able to understand more the process of the penta and assist better, right? And I think just being more aware in my day-to-day life, it's still, I think the Brazilian culture helps in that way. I think it is more open, for sure. But it's been
I think it
interesting
is. I agree with you. You know, I've had some experience abroad as well, and I agree. I think Brazilians in general, they're very open for that. And then there is this thing about the energy as well that helps us in many ways. Of course, as long as we are open for those ideas as well, because if we close up and then that's it. Then then no ideas can access you if you're locked inside yourself and you think this is it. But once we let that that beam of light come through, and light just lit up the room, we start like, what's going on here? Well, there must be something else. There must be something else I can do. These perceptions I have, the energy, like lucid. Was that a lucid dream? Was that a projection? Where was I? That couldn't just be the physical body. That was something else.
But that's the thing. I sometimes wonder how could I be so close? But I understand the culture did play a part in my own family, and everything. But again, I think it is in relation to that parapsychism. For some people, it's kind of one of their main, like mega strong traits, right? The parapsychism. So I think it's able to come through their paragenetics more easily, right? In my case, like it's something I really need to pay attention to every day. And then I have a lot of experiences. But if I get absorbed into my physical life, then, it shuts off. So I think it depends on each person. But it's interesting.
Excellent observation, because this, and there are other cases that I remember now of volunteers as well who were attracted to Conscientiology, and not because of parapsychism, actually because of the scientific approach, the principle of disbelief that attracts a lot of people as well, like don't believe in anything. I mean, you get to an institution and the first thing you hear is, don't believe in what I'm saying. Like, really? What are you saying? I'm telling you to have your own conclusions. Go study and check out, make sure it makes sense for you. So this is sort of impact on newcomers, we could say. So it's very interesting and well pointed out. It's not just about parapsychism. It can be about so many other things. Things. Pretty
That's
cool.
it.
Very good. Well, you did mention your family. So can you tell us, like, because being away from your hometown, being away from your, the place where you were born, how is this relationship? Because one of the things we also consider in Conscientiology and having Iguaçu Falls as the epicenter of Conscientiology, concerning courses and everything, and a lot of people want to move there, but they have their own problems and situations that they need to solve. Responsibilities, exactly. I myself tried to move to Iguaçu Falls a couple of times. In a second time, it was a little bit more professional and technical, and it didn't work. And then I realized, no, I have things to finish over here, and it's okay. It's all good. But how is it for you dealing with this? Family and all that.
And I have a close family. Like, I'm very close to my family. But at the same time, there's something within me that is, I guess, very, and all of us have it, all of our family members. independent, you know.
Right.
Like we want to do our own thing, and if we have something strong in our minds, we go and we do it. And I have 3 younger sisters, and they all kind of, you know, strong personalities, you know. But it was, how could I say, at the beginning, I think my family didn't quite believe, you know, after the going to the United States didn't work, they automatically assumed I'd be coming back home. And when I decided to go and live in Brazil, they didn't quite accept it at the beginning. And they were still asking, you know, when are you going to come back home? But over time, you know, they accepted. I mean, it's interesting because, they I guess at the end of the day, they if what I wanted to do, and they were happy with that. And so, I didn't have any strong resistance from them. They accepted. They were a little, you know, not very happy at the beginning, but they eventually accepted.
Yeah.
But even still nowadays, you know, sometimes, you know, you feel that homesickness from them, from yourself sometimes in certain key moments. But, you know, they understand this is my life. This is where I'm most happy. This is, you know, doing what I really want to do in my life. So they understand that, and they accept it.
That's great. That's great. And did they have any interest in Conscientiology, what you were doing? What was it that just sort of changed your life, you know, turned your life upside down, made you move away? Have they been to Brazil? Have they, you know, walked around seeing any of this?
Yeah, well, you know, I have a big family. So, and all the children now, well, my sisters have children, and the husbands, and, you know, and it's not for them to all come. It would be a big deal, right? A few of them said they may come, and then the pandemic came, but there is the intention for them to come. But it's always been much easier for me to travel to Australia, you know, and go there, and I'm happy to go back home. But in terms of Conscientiology, like, for example, when I was in Australia, I gave a talk, a basic talk, you know, Conscientiology. And it was at a place where my sisters, it was kind of like a community. They lived in the rural area at one time, in a rural area of Australia. And they had a resort there. And they organized an event, and they organized speakers to come, and they invited me to come and give a talk about Conscientiology there.
Great.
And it was great. And my whole family was there, you know.
Awesome.
And even my dad, who's kind of and one of my sisters who are kind of close to these things. But I think it's because of the connection to me, they really enjoyed listening to the talk. And, you know, I think they were more proud than anything else, you know, I was getting up and talking and stuff. But still, I think there's a certain level of openness, and for some family members more than others, for sure.
Right. No, but that's great. And I think it's relevant to talk about that, because it's not, it's very important that we maintain that healthy level of relationship with the family members. You know, it's not just turning our backs, walking away, never looking back, you know. And you know, it's we are in this family, we are in this group for a reason. And
that's it.
More than anyone else, we have the responsibility of, you know, maintaining a healthy relationship. You know, and that's why I think, you know, when we talk about volunteers who, you know, moved to Brazil and so on, I think it is important to, you know, show others as well that there is this, and, you know, this is being taken care of.
This is, over time, I've become more and more aware of this need to really maintain the relationships, of course, because I have the closeness to them. But as you said, it's the group karma, and it's your family, and it's important to maintain those relationships. But how could I say, this is one of the challenges, right? Coming to FOS, and it's interesting because, like I look around me, and for a time there was two other volunteers that had come from another country, English speakers. There's also people coming from Spanish-speaking countries. But still, if you look at the group of us, how many there are so few of us. This is one of the, I guess, and I think why is it that there are so few of us, and what can we do to help more, attract more people from other countries, to FOS and to get in contact with Conscientiology here. So
yeah, it's true. But being is it trailblazer? We say, like opening tracks.
Trailblazer. That's it.
Like setting out the path and so on. Being pioneers as well. Certainly help out. People who are still out there. Trying to find themselves, find a way. Through all this madness of information that we have out there. And Conscientiology tries as best as possible to organize this, and think consciousness as a whole lot more than the eye can eat, than the eye can see.
Exactly.
So very good. Well, I mean, moving on to another subject, of course, related to what we are saying as well, is how as a volunteer you were able to develop new things and so on. And I think we can start talking about your latest accomplishment with the book, right? Can we approach that subject? Yeah, the glossary. Yeah, can you tell us about that?
Sure.
And I think related to that, like introducing this topic, is the construction of this book, because it's basically a dictionary of conscientiology, and how many hands were involved in this to actually materialize that and the importance of this.
So how could I say? At the beginning, our plan was to actually do a thesaurus, and of about, and it's still ongoing, about 3,000 terms at the time. Now it's expanded to 3,500. And so, but in the process, one of the volunteers, Eliane, she had the idea of doing this glossary as a book, right? Because before we had glossaries in more kind of informal glossaries. And, work had already been done. Another volunteer, Jeffrey, he had compiled a glossary with some of our help. Not a glossary, but a glossary, right, of about 150 terms. So we had something to work from. And then we took that and we expanded it to the current size of the glossary. And the main people that were working on it was three of us working. And before, actually, I should mention the thesaurus, there was four of us working more full-time. Every Sunday in the holocycle, we'd get together and we'd discuss terms, and we would, debate definitions and all these things. So Eliane and Liliana Alexandri, and also Katia Caporali, who's now at Consecutivus. She was helping with the LTECT. And then we started working with the glossary. And it took about 3 years to do. It's the first time doing something like this, and it's always more work than you imagine. But to see the result and to see how people appreciating to have it and using it, and so you can see that it was important to do this.
It's really cool. Let's take a look at the cover of the book, so people can recognize when they as they try to find it. So it's glossary of essential conscientiology terms. Yeah. In the English-Portuguese glossary of
Yeah.
conscientiology terms.
And
Yeah.
it's really to help kind of start to standardize the language, you know, to see what is the official term, and to help people, people who are also learning about the terminology in English what's the term that they use in English, and to have a reference, right? But the thesaurus is coming, you know, it's going to take a bit longer, but it's going to be even more terms coming soon.
Great. How many entries are there in the glossary?
It's 300. I think it's 300. About 300. Yeah.
Right. Great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And yes, I'm glad you put the link there, because you can download it for free.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very good. And very substantial as well, because even for Portuguese speakers, at first it can be confusing as well. There are a lot of terms that are actually 2 or 3 words that are joined together to create a new term, to synthesize that idea. So for English speakers, of course, it's going to be a challenge as well.
Yeah, that's it. I think the neologisms of conscientiology, I think it's important people start to become more familiar. It's sometimes it can be a bit of an obstacle, right, for some people, new people. Lily, thank you. Apologies, 600 terms. My bad. Yeah, so it's double that, the number I said.
Double that.
Yeah, thank you, Lily.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're watching.
Yeah, very good. Clarify that for us. Yeah. 600 terms. Excellent.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
But I think this is one of the things, like, for all of us, when we enter conscientiology, for those who understand the English language really well and have an international proactive, it's one of the main priorities that, like, at least I feel and a lot of other volunteers feel, is to work with translation. You know, we see this as being super important, because there's so many people out there, English speakers, who do not have access. You know, we assume that people are going to, you know, learn Portuguese language to be able to access the ideas. But there's a lot of people who, for whatever reasons, and we need to respect that, they're not going to learn the Portuguese language, and they rely on the information to be translated to them. So we need to, you know, more and more, and this is what we're doing here, for example, with, you know, the talk in IAPC and lots of other institutions, and ISIC as well, is working towards that. But the written translation, the translation of books, words, all these things is very important, because it's what we're going to leave behind, and this is what, you know, future intermissivists are going to be able to access.
Yeah, great. So it's true, and there is so much a constant production of new material coming along. So the need for you know, a team of translators is also constant. There's so much work to do, and it's all volunteer work, isn't it? It's all volunteer work, and this is one of the essence of conscientiology as well. Everyone you see transmitting their lives, people in the backstage as well. You know, everyone. It's all volunteer, isn't it?
Yeah. And this is where how could I say, you need to be patient, right? Because, you know, we're only so many volunteers, and so many volunteers that are really invested in this aspect of conscientiology. And we're doing work, and we really have come so far, and we need to acknowledge, you know, where we've come from and what we've done until now. But there is still a lot more we need to do. And if there's anyone out there that feels like they could help, you know, do an invite, you know, to help more with the, you know, translation of books, or, you know, if you know the language, English, and you feel like you can contribute in that way, we are in always very strong need of people to help with this work.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
English and any other language as well, yeah, because it helps. It helps people
Yeah.
all over the world. Of course, we know English is internationally the most spoken
Yeah.
language, but there are people from all nationalities who, for one reason or another, didn't have the opportunity to learn English, and they will only have the opportunity to access these information if it is in their mother tongue.
Exactly.
So yeah, so it
Exactly.
is.
So we need to think exactly much broader,
Yeah,
and kind of get into the minds of these people, these intermissivists, right, who are waiting,
yeah,
for the information to arrive and, have this obstacle in front of them. But I don't know, I kind of have an hypothesis, and it kind of based on the logic of what's already happened. The more that conscientiology expands to other countries, the more intermissivists who have that connection with conscientiology will resonate there, will have future lives there. So I think intermissivists are spread in the whole world, for sure, but
yeah,
how easily are they able to access the information? This is
yeah,
the point.
yeah. Great. All right. Well, there was a question I missed here from YouTube. George participating. Yeah,
Yes.
George Barbello. He asks, can you share any projective experience that was a game changer in your life?
Mm,
Sure. Yeah,
let me think. A game
yeah,
changer.
yeah.
I would
Crucial.
say,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess probably the first experience that I had, the first set of experiences that I had when I first came to Conscientiology, that, really helped to confirm to me that this phenomena existed. It wasn't just something I was really interested in, but I had the proof, um, that the out of body experience really existed, that I existed outside the body. I was a multi-dimensional being, there's no
Mhm.
going back after that.
Yeah.
And so I remember, having experiences going out the body and feeling my silver cord um, and wanting to explore and having a few experiences. I remember having one experience which for me, it wasn't just about me being game changer for me, but also for one of my family members, my mum. I was traveling overseas, and the time differences were different. I was in London at the time, and I was staying at a hostel there, and I remember going out of the body and speaking with my mum and telling her there was a concierge in my room,
Mhm.
because one of those experiences, because she was a little bit disturbed at the concierge, but I was just telling my mum about seeing this concierge. And then when I woke up, my mum called me and she said, I had the strangest dream. You were telling me there was this girl in your room.
Wow.
And I said, Mom, I told you, I really did tell you. I remember. And both of us were just like, wow, that's cool. So it
Wow,
was,
that is super cool.
so it was a really good confirmation for me and for her, two people, witnesses, to the one experience. So this was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And this is the thing about the principle of disbelief. Yeah, it's have your own experiences. Yeah,
Yeah.
have study and have that as a hypothesis, as a possibility. For as long as necessary, but work towards that, studying, work, moving energies, reading, watching lives such as this one,
Yeah.
uh, uh, another videos that we have recorded on our YouTube channel,
I
and
see.
other streaming subs that we use as well. So this is really cool. This excellent example. And what advice, or I don't know, any tip would you give for non-Portuguese speakers who are interested in conscientiology and they may be accessing this information for the first time today, and are like, what is this? This guy's talking about, out of body experiences and parapsychism. What advice would you give for these people?
for people that are coming, that have just arrived, right? Yeah, I guess there is a lot of material. I would start with, there's books to download, the basic books of Conscientiology, the books by Valde Vieira, the proposer of Conscientiology. Other books that are also translated to English. We have like a page. I don't know IOPC has, but on the ISIC website, there is a page where you can download free books. And also on Amazon, there's other books. Oh, good. There's the link there to download books. So, yeah. And also, for example, we have like integrated calendars. And I think it's like on our website as well, where we try, and this is our aim, is to get all the activities from across all the different institutions. Exactly. And so, to be up to date with what activities are coming and see what interests you, right? So, yeah, I think it's, how could I say, don't, this word that I'm mentioning again, the patience, just take it slowly. Just, thank you, Lily. So there's the book Projectiology. So this is a treatise. So everything you want to know about the out-of-body experience, including techniques. There's a large number of techniques that you can apply. Excellent. So there's the link there. But for you to actually have your own experience. So this is, I think, like what you were saying, João, about this principle of disbelief, not thinking you have to just accept everything. Think, deeply about the information, see if it has logic to you. Try to have your own experiences. And there's groups that are helping to translate, to give this information in English, and we're always open to hear your suggestions, your needs. This is one of the big things of the the intermissivist group abroad, the people abroad that are coming to because people coming from different cultures and different health scenes. So
fantastic. There is a lot of material available. There is more, and as Jaclyn said, there is a lot of things being organized as well to maximize this, to optimize things as well. There's a lot of work to be done. But there is a lot of work that has already been done, and is there to assist and to help. So this is really cool. This is really good. There is also the International Week, which we have had a few editions already.
Yes.
We don't have much information about what's going to happen this year, But what can we tell people about the event itself? That it's becoming a tradition, It's really cool.
It's if we, how could I say, it's our intention to keep it going and never stop, right? And that's it. The beginning, the first time, the first two times, it happens every 2 years, right? 2017, 2019, it was actually at the campus. The original idea was to have it at the campus. People come from all around the world, and they get to see, they like get a smorgasbord of different activities from Conscientiology, from all the different institutions, groups, and they get to see, what am I interested in? What, where can I, which path can I follow? And to give that kind of overview of Conscientiology. The last year, in 2021, because of the pandemic, we had it online, and it was really good because we were able to access even more people from around the world who would normally have been able to come to the campus, right? But it's basically that. This year we actually have, it's because it's every 2 years, and it's a huge amount of work. So that's, every 2 years is kind of like what our capacity is, our ability to do. But we're going to have a shorter version of that, the International Weekend. So it's going to be in August. I think it's the 12th, 13th, and 14th of August, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Again, it'll be online. And it's going to be a little bit different, the structure. But again, it's with this aim, right? To, cater to the needs of intimists around the world. So that's the plan.
Excellent. That's awesome. That's really, really good. Well, we're coming to the end of the transmission. Is there anything else, Jaclyn, that you'd like to, say before we end?
Yeah, no, I think it's. I'm just very happy. Thank you for this opportunity, to the IIPC for inviting me to João. It's very, I think the more we talk about this topic, I think, for more people to know and to realize that, in fact, I think that it's part of everyone's proexis to think about, to see how they can help in a universalistic, approach to access, people from all around the world, not just people in Brazil. So, and we're on the path. So,
yeah, absolutely. It's practicing universalism. Yeah, it's not just having it as a written thing beautifully. Yeah, just hanging on the wall, but actually putting it into action.
Exactly.
Jaclyn, thank you so much. I'm sure people learned a lot with you from your experience, and us from IIPC, we're really, really grateful that you were available and up for the challenge of coming here and talking to us about how the challenge of being a non-speaker, non-Portuguese speaker in Conscientiology. Yeah, thank you so much. Listeners and watchers, thank you so much for being present. Thank you so much for the questions, for the participation. Stay tuned. We're here once a month with a new transmission and new things about Conscientiology. So we'll see you in the next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.